I am Solomon, the king who commanded nations, the man who built temples with gold like others build with stone. And right now you're broke, not just financially. You're broke in spirit, broke in purpose, working harder but getting nowhere, watching others live the life you dream about while you scroll through social media making excuses. You think wealth is luck. You think success is for other people. Wrong. Every day you wait, every day you doubt, you're bleeding money, bleeding opportunities, bleeding the life you were meant to live. Your competitors aren't waiting. Your dreams have expiration dates. But here's what the wealthy don't want you to know. The same 7 secrets I used to accumulate more gold than any king in history still work today. Not get-rich-quick schemes, not lottery fantasies. Real wealth principles that build empires in silence. Stop being a spectator in your own life. Stop making excuses while others make millions. In the next few minutes, I'll reveal the exact system that transformed shepherds into kings, peasants into merchants, and broke dreamers into wealthy legends. The question is simple: will you finally listen? Wisdom is your first $1 million investment. Listen to me carefully. Every broke person I've ever met thinks money comes first. They chase the dollar before they chase the knowledge. They want the payoff before they pay the price. And that's exactly why they stay broke. I'm telling you right now, wisdom isn't just nice to have. It's not some philosophical luxury for people with time to waste. Wisdom is the foundation every fortune is built on. Without it, you're building on quicksand. You want to know why lottery winners go broke. You want to know why inheritance money disappears. Because they got the money without the wisdom. They got the fruit without planting the tree. And fruit without roots rots fast. Every decision you make is either making you richer or making you poorer. There's no neutral ground. Every choice compounds. Every mistake multiplies. And if you don't have the wisdom to make the right calls, you're gambling with your future. But here's what most people miss. Wisdom isn't something you're born with. It's something you build. It's something you earn. It's something you fight for every single day. Look at your bank account right now. Look at your debt. Look at your stress level. That's not bad luck. That's not the economy. That's the result of every financial decision you've made up to this point. You bought things you couldn't afford. You took jobs that paid you just enough to survive but not enough to thrive. You listened to broke people give you advice about money. You followed the crowd instead of following the wisdom. And I get it. Nobody taught you this. Your school didn't have a class called How to Build Wealth Without Destroying Your Life. Your parents probably struggled with money too, so you learned their fears, their limitations, their excuses. But that stops today, because I'm going to tell you something that will change everything. The gap between where you are and where you want to be isn't about money. It's about wisdom. When you have wisdom, money flows toward you naturally. When you lack wisdom, money runs away from you faster than you can chase it. Think about it. The richest person you know. Are they the smartest person you know? Probably not. But they make better decisions about money than you do. They have systems you don't have. They see opportunities you miss. They avoid traps you fall into. That's not luck. That's wisdom in action. Here's your first assignment. And I don't care if you think it's boring. I don't care if you'd rather watch Netflix. Stop making excuses and start making progress. Spend 30 minutes every day learning about money, not gambling tips, not get-rich-quick schemes, real financial education. Read books written by people who actually built wealth, study successful businesses. Understand how money really works. But don't just learn, apply what you learn, test it, track it, measure it, because knowledge without action is just expensive entertainment. And here's the part that's going to hurt. You need to look at your past failures differently. Every mistake you've made with money, every bad investment, every impulse purchase, every time you trusted the wrong person with your financial future. Don't run from those memories, study them. What were you thinking? What information did you ignore? What red flags did you miss? What would you do differently now? Because those failures aren't just painful memories, they're expensive lessons. And if you don't learn from expensive lessons, you're going to keep paying for the same class over and over again. I've watched people lose fortunes because they refused to acknowledge their own patterns. They kept making the same mistakes with bigger numbers. They thought more money would solve problems that only wisdom could solve. Don't be that person. Use your past to build your future. Let your mistakes become your mentors. Let your failures fuel your success. And stop taking financial advice from people who are broker than you are. Stop listening to people who complain about rich people, but never do anything to become rich themselves. Stop following the crowd that's walking toward financial mediocrity. Start surrounding yourself with people who have what you want, not fake internet gurus, real people building real wealth, people who can show you the actual steps they took to get where they are. Because here's what I learned building my kingdom. Wisdom multiplies everything else you do. With wisdom, a small investment becomes a big return. Without wisdom, a big investment becomes a big loss. The time you spend building wisdom now will save you years of struggle later. The money you invest in your financial education today will pay dividends for the rest of your life. But you have to start. You have to decide that your financial future is worth more than your current comfort. You have to choose growth over entertainment, education over excuses, wisdom over wishful thinking. And once you have that foundation of wisdom, everything else becomes possible. But without it, you'll keep spinning your wheels, working harder for less, wondering why everyone else seems to have figured out something you're missing. Your mouth is bleeding money every day. Shut up and get rich. I'm serious. Every word you speak about your plans is money flowing out of your bank account. Every time you announce your next big move, you're inviting failure into your life. You think sharing your dreams makes them more real. You think talking about your goals gives you accountability. You're dead wrong, and that mistake is keeping you broke. Here's what happens when you run your mouth about money. People start watching you, judging you, betting against you, and most of them want to see you fail. That coworker you told about your side business, they're secretly hoping it crashes so they feel better about doing nothing. That friend you shared your investment strategy with, they're looking for reasons to prove you wrong so they can justify their own financial mediocrity. And family, don't even get me started on family. The moment you start succeeding beyond their comfort zone, they'll find every way to drag you back down to their level. They'll call it love. They'll call it concern. But it's really fear and jealousy dressed up as caring. I built the richest kingdom in history by keeping my mouth shut about my plans until they were already working. While other kings were boasting about what they were going to do, I was quietly doing it. You want to know why most business partnerships fail? Because people talk too much too early. They share sensitive information with the wrong people. They reveal strategies before they're ready to execute them. They give their competition a roadmap to their own success. Silence isn't just golden, silence is profitable. But you're addicted to validation, aren't you? You can't make a move without announcing it to the world. You can't invest in yourself without posting about it on social media. You can't start a project without telling everyone who will listen. And every time you do that, you're bleeding energy, focus, and power. Because the moment you speak your plans into existence, part of your brain thinks the work is already done. You get a hit of satisfaction from the talking, and you lose motivation for the doing. Meanwhile, your real competition is working in silence. They're building while you're talking. They're executing while you're explaining. They're succeeding while you're still seeking approval. Look at the wealthiest people you know. Really look at them. Do they post every business meeting on Instagram? Do they announce every investment opportunity at dinner parties? Do they share their financial strategies with anyone who asks? Hell no, they move like shadows. They make decisions behind closed doors. They build their empires in silence and reveal them only when it's time to collect. And here's what you don't realize. The universe doesn't respond to what you say, it responds to what you do. Your bank account doesn't care about your announcements, it only cares about your actions. Every minute you spend talking about what you're going to do is a minute you're not actually doing it. Every conversation about your plans is energy you're not putting into making those plans reality. But silence is power, silence is focus. Silence is the difference between dreamers and achievers. When you keep your plans to yourself, you protect them. You give them space to grow without interference. You avoid the negative energy of people who want to see you fail. You sidestep the opinions of people who have never done what you're trying to do. And you know what happens when you succeed in silence. People call it overnight success. They act like you got lucky. They have no idea about the hours, the sacrifices, the strategic moves you made while they were sleeping. That's exactly where you want to be, moving so quietly that your success surprises everyone, including yourself. But I'm not telling you to be secretive about everything. Share your victories after they're complete. Celebrate your wins after the check clears. Announce your success after it's too big to stop. Just keep your plans, your strategies, and your next moves to yourself until they're already working. And stop seeking permission from people who don't have what you want. Stop asking for opinions from people who haven't walked the path you're walking. Stop looking for validation from people who are too scared to take the risks you're taking. The only person whose approval you need is the person staring back at you in the mirror. And if that person isn't ready to work in silence, they're not ready to succeed at all. Here's your assignment. For the next 30 days, don't tell anyone about your financial plans. Don't post about your investments. Don't announce your new business ideas. Don't share your goals with anyone, except the people who are directly involved in making them happen. Just work quietly, consistently, without fanfare or fanboys. Put your head down and put in the work. Let your results do the talking. And watch what happens. Watch how much more focused you become when you're not performing for an audience. Watch how much faster you move when you're not stopping to explain every decision. Watch how much stronger your foundation becomes when you're building it without interference. Because the people who succeed in silence don't just get rich, they stay rich. They don't just build wealth, they build lasting wealth that can't be touched by other people's opinions, jealousy, or interference. Your axe is duller than your ambition. Work smarter, not harder. You've heard it 1,000 times, but you're still grinding yourself into dust because you think effort equals results. You think pain equals progress. You think busy equals successful. You're wrong. And that wrong thinking is why you're exhausted, underpaid, and watching other people lap you while you're drowning in your own sweat. I'm watching you work 60 hours a week to make what someone else makes in 20. I'm watching you break your back to build someone else's dream while your own dreams collect dust. I'm watching you mistake motion for progress, activity for achievement, hours for income. And it's breaking my heart because you have so much potential that you're wasting with bad strategy. Listen to me. A dull axe requires more effort to cut down the same tree, but most people, when they realize their axe is dull, don't stop to sharpen it. They swing harder, they swing faster. They swing until their arms are numb and their back is screaming, and they're still nowhere near cutting down that tree. Meanwhile, the wise person stops, sharpens the axe, and cuts down 3 trees in the time it takes you to halfway through one. That's the difference between working hard and working smart. That's the difference between effort and efficiency. That's the difference between being busy and being profitable. Your skills are your axe, and I guarantee you, your axe is duller than you think it is. When's the last time you invested in yourself? When's the last time you learned a new skill that could increase your income? When's the last time you upgraded your knowledge, your systems, your approach to work? You're probably still using the same strategies you learned 5 years ago, still approaching problems the same way you did when you were broke, still thinking like the person who got you into this financial mess in the first place. and you wonder why nothing changes. Here's what successful people understand that you're missing. They spend time sharpening their axe before they start swinging. They invest in their skills before they try to monetize them. They build systems before they build businesses. They study their industry until they know it better than their competition. They learn from people who have already achieved what they want to achieve. They develop expertise that makes them irreplaceable, not just replaceable. But you're trying to wing it. You're hoping that desire will compensate for preparation. You're betting that passion will substitute for competence. You're gambling with your future instead of investing in it. And that's not courage, that's stupidity. Every hour you spend working without the right skills is an hour wasted. Every day you postpone learning what you need to know is a day your competition gets further ahead. Every week you delay upgrading yourself is a week you could have been earning more, achieving more, becoming more. But learning isn't enough. Information without application is just expensive entertainment. You need to take what you learn and immediately put it into practice. Test it, refine it, make it work for your specific situation. Because knowledge that sits in your head without being used is worthless. It's like having a sharp axe in your tool shed while you're in the forest breaking your back with a dull one. And here's another thing. Stop trying to figure everything out by yourself. Stop thinking that asking for help is a sign of weakness. Stop believing that you need to reinvent every wheel. Find people who have already solved the problems you're trying to solve. Learn from their mistakes instead of making your own. Copy their systems instead of creating inferior ones from scratch. Stand on their shoulders instead of starting from ground zero. That's not cheating, that's intelligence, that's efficiency, that's working smarter instead of harder. But you have to be strategic about who you learn from. Don't take business advice from people who have never built a successful business. Don't take investment advice from people who are living paycheck to paycheck. Don't take career advice from people who hate their jobs. Learn from people who have the results you want, and be willing to pay for that education, because free advice is usually worth exactly what you pay for it. Invest in courses, hire coaches, join mastermind groups, buy books, attend seminars. Whatever it costs, it's cheaper than staying ignorant. Whatever time it takes, it's faster than figuring it out alone. And stop making excuses about not having time to learn. You have time to watch Netflix. You have time to scroll social media. You have time for activities that make you dumber and broker. You just don't prioritize activities that make you smarter and richer. That's a choice, and choices have consequences. Here's what I want you to do right now. Identify the biggest bottleneck in your income. What's the one skill that, if you developed it, would have the biggest impact on your financial results? Is it sales, marketing, leadership, technical expertise, financial literacy, communication? Whatever it is, make a plan to develop that skill over the next 90 days. Don't just think about it. Don't just add it to your someday list. Make a specific plan with specific actions and specific deadlines. And then execute that plan like your financial future depends on it. Because it does. Because when you sharpen your axe, everything changes. Work becomes easier. Results come faster. Income increases. Opportunities multiply. Life gets better in every measurable way. But you have to stop swinging the dull axe first. You have to admit that what got you here won't get you where you want to go. You have to be willing to pause the grinding to do the sharpening. And once you do that, once you commit to working smarter instead of harder, you'll wonder why you waited so long to make the switch. One stream dries up, your empire dies. Put all your eggs in one basket and watch your life crumble when that basket breaks. I don't care how stable your job seems. I don't care how successful your business is. I don't care how much you trust that single source of income. It's going to fail you. And when it does, you'll wish you listened to what I'm about to tell you. Every person I've ever met who went from comfortable to completely broke had the same story. They depended on one source of income. They got comfortable, they got lazy, they got complacent. And then that source disappeared and took their entire lifestyle with it. The company downsized, the industry changed, the market crashed, the partnership ended, the client left, the investment failed, and suddenly the person who felt secure was scrambling to pay basic bills. That's not bad luck, that's bad strategy. Diversification isn't just smart, it's survival. It's the difference between weathering storms and drowning in them. It's the difference between temporary setbacks and permanent disasters. And I'm not just talking about money. I'm talking about skills, relationships, opportunities, and knowledge. Everything in your life should have backup systems. You think your job is secure. Your industry is recession-proof. Your skills are always going to be in demand. You're living in a fantasy that's going to turn into a nightmare faster than you can imagine. The world changes, technology evolves, markets shift. What's hot today is obsolete tomorrow, and if you haven't prepared for that reality, you're going to be a casualty of progress. But diversification isn't just about protection, it's about multiplication. Multiple streams of income don't just give you security, they give you options, they give you power. They give you the freedom to take risks, because you're not betting everything on one outcome. When you have 5 sources of income and one disappears, you lose 20% of your revenue. When you have one source of income and it disappears, you lose everything. That's not just a financial disaster. That's an emotional disaster. That's a psychological disaster. That's the kind of stress that destroys relationships, health, and hope. So why aren't you diversified already? Because it's hard work. Because it requires you to develop new skills. Because it means doing things you're not comfortable with. Because it's easier to put all your energy into one thing than to split your focus across multiple things. But easy doesn't pay the bills when your single source dries up. Comfortable doesn't provide security when the market changes. Convenient doesn't protect your family when the unexpected happens. You need to start thinking like a farmer, not like a gambler. Farmers don't plant just one crop. They diversify their planting so that if one crop fails, others can sustain them. They prepare for droughts, floods, pests, and market changes. But you're planting all your seeds in one field and hoping for perfect weather forever. That's not strategy, that's stupidity. Here's what you need to understand. Every skill you develop is a potential income stream. Every relationship you build is a potential opportunity. Every piece of knowledge you acquire is a potential asset. But most people learn one skill, build one type of relationship, and acquire knowledge in one narrow field. And then they wonder why their options are so limited when things change. Start developing complementary skills. If you're good at sales, learn marketing. If you're good at marketing, learn product development. If you're good with numbers, learn communication. If you're good with people, learn systems. Because the intersection of multiple skills is where the real money is made. The person who can sell and market and manage and analyze doesn't just have job security. They have empire potential. And stop thinking that diversification means you have to be mediocre at everything. That's not what I'm saying at all. You can have a primary focus while still developing backup options. You can excel in your main field while building competence in supporting areas. The key is to start now, while you still have the luxury of time and stability. Don't wait until your primary source is threatened to start building alternatives. By then, you're operating from desperation instead of strategy. And desperation makes terrible decisions. Start small. Dedicate 2 hours a week to developing a second income stream. Whether it's consulting, freelancing, creating content, investing, or building a side business, just start. Don't expect it to replace your main income immediately. Don't expect it to be perfect from day one. Just expect it to be a foundation that you can build on over time. Because here's what happens when you have multiple income streams. You become more confident in your primary work because you're not desperate to keep it. You negotiate better because you have alternatives. You take smarter risks because you have safety nets. You become anti-fragile, not just able to survive shocks, but able to benefit from them. When others are panicking about market changes, you're positioning yourself to capitalize on them. But this only works if you start before you need it. Insurance doesn't work if you buy it after the accident. Diversification doesn't work if you build it after the crisis. The time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is today. The time to diversify your income was when you got your first job. The second best time is right now. Stop making excuses. Stop procrastinating. Stop waiting for the perfect moment. Start building your financial fortress now while you have the resources and energy to do it right. Give away money to make money. This is going to sound backwards to your broke brain, but listen carefully. The fastest way to increase your wealth is to give some of it away. The surest path to abundance is through generosity. The most reliable investment you can make is in other people. And I'm not talking about some mystical karma nonsense. I'm talking about practical, strategic, profitable generosity that builds business relationships, creates opportunities, and multiplies your influence. But first, let me destroy the lie you've been telling yourself. You think you can't afford to be generous because you don't have enough money. You think generosity is a luxury for rich people. You think you need to get yours first before you can help anyone else get theirs. That's exactly why you're still broke. Generosity isn't something you do after you get rich. Generosity is how you get rich. It's not the destination, it's the vehicle. Poor people hoard. Rich people circulate. Poor people grip their money so tight it can't breathe. Rich people let their money flow in ways that create more money. And I'm not talking about throwing money at random charities to make yourself feel better. I'm talking about strategic generosity that builds relationships, creates value, and positions you as someone worth doing business with. When you help someone else win, they remember. When you solve someone else's problem, they trust you. When you invest in someone else's success, they include you in opportunities you never would have discovered on your own. But you're too scared to try it because you think money is scarce. You think if you give some away, there will be less for you. You operate from a mindset of lack instead of abundance. And that mindset is what's keeping you small. Here's what successful people understand that broke people miss. Money is not scarce. Opportunities are not limited. Success is not a zero-sum game. When you help other people get what they want, you get what you want faster and easier than if you try to get it alone. But generosity only works if it's genuine. People can smell fake generosity from a mile away. They know when you're being nice because you want something versus when you're being nice because you want to help. And fake generosity not only doesn't work, it backfires. It makes people trust you less, not more. It closes doors instead of opening them. So how do you practice profitable generosity? You start by looking for ways to add value to other people's lives without expecting immediate returns. You share knowledge, make connections, provide resources, offer assistance. You become the person who makes other people's lives better just by being in them. When someone mentions a challenge they're facing, you don't just nod and change the subject. You think about how you can help. When someone talks about a goal they're pursuing, you consider what resources or connections you might share. When you meet someone new, you don't immediately start pitching them your services. You ask questions. You learn about their situation. You look for ways to be useful. And here's the part that's going to challenge you. You do this without keeping score. You don't track what you give so you can demand equivalent returns. You don't help people with the expectation that they owe you something. You help because helping is smart business. You give because giving builds the kind of reputation that attracts opportunities. But I'm not telling you to be a doormat. I'm not suggesting you let people take advantage of your generosity. There's a difference between being generous and being stupid. You're generous with people who appreciate it and reciprocate in some way, even if that reciprocal isn't immediate or equivalent. You're generous with people who are also generous. You're generous with people who are working to improve their situation, not people who are just looking for handouts. And you're strategic about your generosity. You invest in people and opportunities that align with your goals and values. You give in ways that build the kind of relationships that support your long-term success. Because here's what happens when you develop a reputation for generosity. People start thinking of you when opportunities arise. They include you in conversations you wouldn't normally be part of. They recommend you for projects, partnerships, and positions. They become your unpaid sales force, your voluntary marketing team, your informal board of advisors. And the returns on that investment are massive and long-lasting. But you have to start before you feel ready. You have to give before you feel like you can afford it. You have to help before you need help. Here's your challenge. For the next 7 days, look for one way each day to help someone else win. Make an introduction, share an article, offer advice, provide a resource, make a small investment in someone else's success. Don't announce it, don't post about it, don't expect anything in return. Just do it and observe what happens. Watch how differently people respond to you when you approach them with value instead of need. Notice how many doors open when you focus on opening doors for others. And pay attention to how different you feel about money when you're actively circulating it instead of hoarding it. Discipline is the difference between dreaming and achieving. Every single day, you're choosing between your future self and your current self, between what you want eventually and what you want right now, between the life you dream about and the habits that keep you exactly where you are. And most days you're choosing wrong. You want to build wealth, but you spend money on things that make you feel rich instead of things that make you actually rich. You want to be successful, but you choose entertainment over education. You want to change your life, but you do the same things today that you did yesterday. That's not a strategy problem, that's a discipline problem. And until you solve the discipline problem, no strategy in the world is going to save you. I don't care how brilliant your business idea is. I don't care how perfect your investment plan looks on paper. I don't care how motivated you feel right now listening to this. If you can't stick to simple daily habits, you're going to fail. Because success isn't about one big decision. It's about 1,000 small decisions made consistently over time. It's about doing the right thing when you don't feel like it, when it's inconvenient, when nobody's watching. It's about showing up every day, especially the days when showing up is hard. But you're addicted to instant gratification. You want results without the work. You want the destination without the journey. You want the rewards without the sacrifice. And that's exactly why you're stuck. Look at your bank account right now. Look at your debt. Look at your stress level. That's not the result of one bad decision. That's the result of 1,000 small decisions made consistently over time. Every time you bought something you couldn't afford. Every time you chose short-term pleasure over long-term gain. Every time you picked easy over effective. Every time you quit when things got hard. Those weren't isolated incidents. Those were habits, patterns, systems of behavior that guaranteed the results you're experiencing right now. And if you want different results, you need different habits, different patterns, different systems. But changing habits is hard. It's uncomfortable. It requires you to act like the person you want to become before you actually become that person. It requires you to make sacrifices that nobody sees for rewards that might not come for months or years. Most people aren't willing to pay that price. They start strong and fade fast. They make resolutions and break them. They set goals and abandon them the moment pursuing those goals becomes inconvenient. But wealth isn't built by people who do things when it's convenient. Wealth is built by people who do things consistently, regardless of convenience. The difference between rich and poor isn't intelligence. It's not education. It's not connections. It's discipline. The ability to delay gratification. The willingness to do what needs to be done when it needs to be done, whether you feel like it or not. Rich people save money before they spend it. Poor people spend money before they save it. Rich people invest time in activities that build their future. Poor people invest time in activities that distract from their problems. Rich people do the difficult things that make life easy. Poor people do the easy things that make life difficult. And here's what you need to understand. Discipline is not a personality trait you're born with or without. Discipline is a skill you develop through practice. It's a muscle you strengthen through use. Every time you choose long-term over short-term, you're building discipline. Every time you do something productive instead of something comfortable, you're developing the capacity to do harder things tomorrow. But you have to start small. You can't go from zero discipline to perfect discipline overnight. You have to build momentum gradually, success by success, choice by choice. Pick one small financial habit and commit to it for 30 days. Save $10 a day. Read 10 pages about money every morning. Track every expense. Whatever it is, make it small enough that you can't fail and important enough that it matters. And then do it every single day for 30 days, no matter what. No matter how you feel. No matter what else is going on in your life. No matter how insignificant it seems. Because you're not just building that habit. You're building the capacity to build habits. You're developing the confidence that comes from keeping promises to yourself. You're creating evidence that you're the kind of person who follows through. And once you have that foundation, you can build on it. Add another habit. Increase the intensity. Tackle bigger challenges. Because discipline compounds just like interest. Small disciplines lead to bigger disciplines. Simple habits enable complex systems. Easy victories create momentum for harder battles. But you have to start. You have to commit. You have to decide that your future is more important than your comfort, that your goals are more important than your excuses, that your potential is more important than your patterns. Because the gap between where you are and where you want to be isn't about opportunity. It's not about luck. It's not about circumstances. It's about consistency. It's about discipline. It's about doing the right things long enough for them to work. And the right things work every time for everyone who works them long enough. The question is simple. Are you finally ready to work them? Your foundation determines your future. Money without meaning is meaningless. Wealth without wisdom is worthless. Success without significance is hollow. And if you build your financial empire on the wrong foundation, it will crumble under the weight of its own emptiness. I've seen it happen 1,000 times. People who accumulate massive wealth only to lose it all because they built it on pride instead of principle. People who achieve everything they thought they wanted only to realize they destroyed everything that actually mattered in the process. People who got rich in their bank accounts, but became poor in their souls. And that's not success. That's tragedy dressed up as achievement. Here's what most financial gurus won't tell you because it doesn't fit their get-rich-quick narrative. True wealth has a moral component. Lasting success has an ethical foundation. Sustainable prosperity requires spiritual wisdom. Not because money is evil, not because success is wrong, but because humans need purpose beyond profit to build something that lasts. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom, not fear like terror, fear like respect, like reverence, like recognition that there are principles governing this universe that are bigger than your ambition, more powerful than your plans, more important than your immediate desires. When you operate in alignment with those principles, everything flows. When you violate them, everything eventually collapses. And I'm not preaching to you. I'm sharing business intelligence. Practical wisdom that works whether you're religious or not, whether you believe in God or not, whether you consider yourself spiritual or not. Because these principles aren't religious. They're universal. They govern success and failure regardless of your personal beliefs. Integrity builds trust. Dishonesty destroys it. Humility creates learning. Pride prevents it. Generosity multiplies resources. Greed hoards them until they stagnate. Service to others creates sustainable value. Self-service creates temporary advantage that usually backfires. These aren't opinions. These are laws of human nature that affect every transaction, every relationship, every opportunity you encounter. But most people try to shortcut the character part of success. They want the wealth without the wisdom. They want the results without the righteousness. They want the benefits without the behavior changes. And it never works long-term, never. You can build a business on manipulation, but you can't sustain it. You can make money through deception, but you can't keep it. You can achieve temporary success through selfishness, but you can't create lasting significance. Because success without character is like a house built on sand. It looks impressive from the outside, but it can't weather the inevitable storms of life and business. Here's what I want you to understand. The same principles that govern lasting wealth also govern lasting happiness, lasting relationships, lasting health, and lasting peace. They're not separate systems. They're integrated. Your financial success is connected to your personal character. Your professional achievements are linked to your private integrity. You can't compartmentalize your life and expect excellence in one area while accepting mediocrity in others. Excellence is a way of being, not a way of doing. And the foundation of that way of being is reverence for something bigger than yourself. Whether you call it God, the universe, universal principles, or natural laws doesn't matter. What matters is recognizing that you're not the center of the universe, that your success affects other people, that your wealth comes with responsibilities, that your achievements should serve purposes larger than your own comfort and ego. When you operate from that foundation, several things happen. You make better long-term decisions because you're thinking beyond immediate gratification. You build stronger relationships because you're focused on value creation, not value extraction. You attract better opportunities because people trust you with bigger responsibilities. You sleep better at night because your success doesn't come at the expense of your soul. And you build wealth that enhances your life instead of consuming it. But operating from this foundation requires constant self-examination, constant course correction, constant humility about your own limitations and motivations. It requires you to ask hard questions. Is this decision good for me or good for everyone involved? Am I creating value or just capturing it? Am I building something that makes the world better or just makes me richer? And it requires you to accept that sometimes the right thing to do isn't the most profitable thing to do in the short term. That integrity sometimes costs money. That character sometimes slows down progress. But those short-term costs create long-term advantages that compound over time, because people trust people with character. They do business with people who have integrity. They create opportunities for people who serve purposes beyond profit. And the wealth you build on that foundation isn't just money, it's respect, it's influence, it's legacy. It's the kind of success that lasts longer than your lifetime. Here's what I want you to do. Before you make your next financial decision, ask yourself these questions. Does this align with my values? Does this serve something bigger than myself? Will I be proud of this choice 5 years from now? If the answer to any of those questions is no, find a different path. Because the foundation you build today determines the future you'll experience tomorrow. 7 days to transform your financial DNA. Stop talking. Start doing. Everything I've shared with you means nothing if you don't act on it. Knowledge without action is just expensive entertainment. Understanding without implementation is just intellectual masturbation. And I'm tired of watching people collect information instead of creating transformation. You've been given the same secrets that built my kingdom. The same principles that created more wealth than any ruler in history. The same wisdom that turns ordinary people into extraordinary achievers. The question is simple: what are you going to do with it? Because knowing what to do doesn't make you successful. Doing what you know makes you successful, and most people never bridge that gap. They learn and learn and learn, but never earn and earn and earn. They become professional students instead of practical winners. Don't be that person. Don't let this be another piece of content you consume and forget. Don't let these principles become another good intention that never becomes a real action. Your current financial situation is the result of your past decisions. Your future financial situation will be the result of the decisions you make starting today, right now, this moment. And the most important decision you can make is to decide that your life is going to change. Not someday, not when it's convenient, not when you feel ready. Today. Here's what I want you to do. Pick one of the 7 secrets we've discussed. Just one. The one that resonated most strongly with you. The one that exposed your biggest weakness or revealed your greatest opportunity. And commit to applying that secret for the next 7 days. Not perfectly, not permanently, just consistently for 7 days. If you choose wisdom as your foundation, spend 30 minutes every day for 7 days learning something new about money, business, or success, and then immediately apply what you learn. If you choose the power of silence, keep your mouth shut about your plans for 7 days. Work on your goals without announcing them. Build without bragging. Progress without promoting. If you choose smart work over hard work, spend time every day for 7 days sharpening your skills instead of just using them. Learn something that makes you more valuable, more efficient, more effective. If you choose diversification, spend 1 hour every day for 7 days developing a new income stream. Research opportunities, build skills, make connections, take action. If you choose strategic generosity, find one way every day for 7 days to help someone else win. Make introductions, share resources, provide value without expecting immediate returns. If you choose discipline, pick one small financial habit and execute it perfectly for 7 days. Save money, track expenses, read educational content. Whatever it is, do it every day without exception. If you choose the right foundation, spend time every day for 7 days examining your motivations and aligning your actions with your deepest values and highest purposes. Just 7 days, 1 week, a microscopic commitment compared to the lifetime impact it could create. But here's the key. Don't just go through the motions. Don't just check boxes. Engage with the process. Pay attention to what happens. Notice how you feel. Observe how others respond to you differently. Because transformation isn't just about changing your actions. It's about changing your identity. It's about becoming the kind of person who naturally does the things that create wealth. An identity change happens through consistent action. Every time you act like the person you want to become, you reinforce that identity. Every time you make choices aligned with your goals, you strengthen those neural pathways. Every time you choose growth over comfort, investment over consumption, discipline over impulse, you're literally rewiring your brain for success. But it starts with the decision to start, and it continues with the discipline to persist, and it succeeds with the wisdom to adapt and improve along the way. 7 days, 1 secret, complete focus, total commitment, and then evaluate what happened, look at the results, measure the changes, assess the impact. And if it worked, if you saw positive changes, if you felt momentum building, then continue. Extend it to 14 days, then 30 days, then 90 days. Because small changes sustained over time create massive transformations. Simple habits executed consistently produce extraordinary results. But you have to start, you have to choose, you have to commit. Your financial future is not determined by your past mistakes, your current circumstances, or your inherited limitations. It's determined by the decisions you make and the actions you take starting right now. The same principles that made me the richest king in history are available to you today. The same wisdom that built my kingdom can build your wealth. The same secrets that created my success can create your transformation. but they only work if you work them. They only produce results if you produce action. The time for learning is over. The time for doing is now. 7 days, one secret. Your future depends on what you do with this moment. Don't waste it. This is your moment of truth. Everything you've just learned will either transform your life or become another forgotten memory in your collection of wasted opportunities. You now possess the same wealth-building secrets that made Solomon the richest king in history, the same principles that created empires in silence, the same wisdom that turns ordinary people into financial legends. But knowledge without action is worthless. Understanding without implementation is just intellectual entertainment, and I refuse to let you waste this gift. Your competitors are already moving. While you're thinking, they're doing. While you're hesitating, they're executing. While you're making excuses, they're making money. Every second you delay is a second your dreams die a little more. Every hour you postpone is an hour your financial freedom slips further away. Every day you wait is a day someone else claims the success that should have been yours. Stop being a spectator in your own life. Stop collecting information like trophies while your bank account stays empty. Stop preparing to get ready to think about maybe starting someday. The 7 secrets are in your hands. The wisdom is in your head. The power is in your decisions. But power unused is powerlessness disguised as potential. Right now, your future self is screaming at you to act. Your children's prosperity depends on what you do next. Your legacy hangs in the balance of this single moment. You can either become the person who finally broke through or the person who had every tool but never built anything. The person who knew the secrets but died with the music still inside them. Choose transformation over comfort. Choose action over analysis. Choose now over never. The kingdom awaits. The wealth is calling. The silence is ready to make you rich. Not tomorrow, not next week, not when you feel ready. Now, right now, this second.